I think every fighting game has this problem. My current beef with fighting game development now is waiting for your character to get better. I don't like that. I don't like how they keep characters who they want to be good and can others. I actually despise that. Like, stop intentionally keeping players away from being great. We can figure it out, but you're intentionally canning a character to make them work harder because you want to see if the player base can do it. I understand that, but you already have a player base cooking with something that's already strong, and like the way you're balancing the game makes it feel as if you don't care about those characters. And then those players that play that character have to wait till the end of the game to finally get a good character. By that time, they've either done one of two things: checked out, or they picked another fucking character. And that part angers me about fighting game balance. Like, I shouldn't have to wait till season 3 for Kimberly to be an amazing character. Like, you know what people are struggling with the character. I understand you're trying to play it safe, but you need to not play it so safe if that's the case. If that's the case, take a risk with the balance. Because you're throwing too much money at these games, and then you want me to play my favorite character, but I have to wait for you to give me permission to play my favorite character while having a lot of great options. That hurts. And that's what makes people not pick their favorite character, and they just pick whatever's cheap. Because no one wants to play their favorite character and know that they're struggling. But I understand at the same time, you give character too many options, it could be too good. But I do feel like I just feel like you should probably consider that, in my opinion. Yeah, I remember you got Twisted Bison. It's tragic. Like, if you want people to stay invested in the product, then you need to not make them wait forever for the character to be good. Because I think that it makes players really question. And at that point, it's like, who are you trying to appeal by making this character worse? I feel like the Ganbatte mindset doesn't always apply. That might apply in Japan, but it doesn't apply everywhere else, you know? Ganbatte meaning do your best, right? Ganbatte, gambare, all that, do your best. Doing my best isn't going to be enough if you don't give me the ability to do my best, you know? I can't do my best if, like, players are at the mercy of the developers. I can't gambare if you are not allowing me to gambare, you know? And then they buff whip towards the later half of the game. That's and who wants to wait? Like, who wants to wait? Nobody. Like, I think developers overestimate, like, rather underestimate how fast people can quit a game. Like, people can just quit a game like that. And then there goes your player retention. Yo, big Thanos, I see you, big dog. Like, if you consider how fast I can spend my money and how fast I can get my money back, or just quit altogether, it's easy. Takes no effort. Who wants to deal with that? No player. Chilling. Would you rather than take a risk and get T8 Season 2 or play it safer in that regard? So, Tekken 8, right? Tekken 8 Season 2's issue wasn't... I guess the best of Season 2 Tekken, what they needed to do was not make a new game in Season 2. Right? Season 2 was a new game. You gave characters mad amounts of moves. It's almost like you're telling me Tekken 8's budget is about to be up and this game is about to be finished. So you're just saying, fuck it, just throw everything at this, throw the whole kitchen sink at it. We don't have enough income, we don't have enough capital to get to Season 4 or 5, where we would gradually add these moves. The problem is Tekken 8 added like a whole, it's literally a whole new game. Or you add these moves over time. You don't just fuck and just dump all these moves and then try to rebound. Like, that's the worst thing you could have done. So they did the worst decision possible in just adding all this shit in and expecting players to be like, yeah, man, I can't wait to learn how to counter 9,602 moves. Who the fuck wants to do that? Nobody. Like, you guys made this game. Do you want to do that? Dude, it's like, well, we made it, so we think it's gonna be great. No, it's not. You gave all these characters moves that belong in like Tekken 8, or I mean, they belong in Tekken 9 or Tekken 8 Season 5. Like, if you added 2 moves per character, okay. Not 9, 10, 14. Here's a follow-up to this that also leads to this. It's also plus 19. No. You don't do that. You don't do that. That's a terrible decision. I think ET's trolling. I'm waiting for the Billy arc.
Wake Up Supers worked, right?
I'm waiting.
That last situation was once again.
So, let me say this real fast. In terms of playing it safe, if you look at Street Fighter 6, for example, right, in terms of balance, that game is balanced to the point. I'm gonna hard say this, right? And I stand by this fully. I believe this. Street Fighter 6's balance is so fucking good that they can't balance their game properly, right? And when I say they can't balance their game properly, it's like they're in a position where they know what to tweak. They're just not doing it. I don't know why, and I can't tell you why. But it feels to me, turning dials is not difficult for them. They just don't want to, because they want to have this level of like excitement for when your character does get buffed and they finally turn that dial for your character to be amazing, is when you come back. And you're like, yeah, man, this is the greatest season ever. Season 2 was so difficult, but man, season 3 is the best because, yo, they finally did what I wanted them to do. That feels good, right? So they're playing off of your fucking engagement. That, to me, is more predatory than DLC, if I'm my honest opinion. Like, that's way more predatory than any DLC in my book.
Never forget about that, because that's all we got.
You're playing gotcha with their fucking balance. Think about it. Think about how long you had to wait to see JP get nerfed. And it's like, yeah, finally JP's nerfed just for him to still be good. And they buffed the thing that they shouldn't have taken away anyway. They rebuffed the anti-air. Like, yeah, he's struggling a little bit. We thought he wasn't going to struggle with it, but we decided we just give it back. And he's still a fucking menace. So it's like, there are some characters that are by design, they're too difficult to turn them into just dog shit. Even when JP didn't have the anti-air, he could still air throw you, jump jab. They were like, well, maybe you would use these options instead of just relying on this free anti-air. And like, yeah, you know, we'll just give it back to him and make it like good, but not as good as he was. You know, that's fine. Like, you have to think about that, right? Did his kit change to the point to where he doesn't function? Hell no. Is he still a top tier character? Abso-fucking-lutely. He won Capcom Cup. But they said he wasn't that good either. Now, granted, you could say to some degree there's some outplay potential, but I'm not going to get into that too much. But the bottom line is, even though they nerfed him, he's still amazing. Now imagine characters that are weaker. When they're like, they still have the ability to do work, but just with some love, they can be amazing. Look at Geef. When they buffed Geef, Geef went from being whatever to like, oh my god, Geef top 5. Especially if you're in Japan, then you think he's top 5. If you're Japanese, you thought it was top 5. Even when they buffed him and they buffed the medium kick and then they took the medium kick away, like, yeah, that's a little too much. Then they nerfed the knee. He's still doing work. The character's still strong. So he's a prime example of like, I wasn't. Back then, they didn't want me. Now I'm hot. Hoes all on me. And look at him. He can cook. It's the same with mad characters in Street Fighter 6. Mad characters can cook. Just turn the dial. Stop being afraid to turn the dial. Stop playing with people's engagement and just turn the dial. Like, let them all be good. It's okay. There's going to still be a top tier. There'll still be a hierarchy of tiers, right? That's always going to be a thing. But, like, a player should feel good about playing their character. It shouldn't be like, well, I can't win with Kimberly, so I guess I'll go play Ed. Oh man, Ed got nerfed. How bad is it? I don't want to do the dream combo. Fuck, I'm just not gonna play Ed anymore. Like that kind of shit fucking sucks. Like, it does suck. Now there's some characters, like, I think a character in my opinion is kind of canned, but still can get more. Is like characters like Lily. Lily, if you touch her kit, she could be broken, but like, you don't gotta touch the kit anymore. Now the question is, do you add a special move? That's the kind of shit I feel like. We're at a point now, Street Fighter 6, just in particular, where like adding a special move, changing a property, turning a dial on some frame data can just change a character completely, right? That's why if you look at the game, it's all incremental changes. Oh, well, we nerfed Akuma's hurt box on air fireball, so you can still use it, but you can't abuse it. Well, we made it so air fireball hits this way now, so it doesn't just do this. Or we did this, so you just can't do that anymore. So like they try to nerf the scrubby shit and kind of let it still be somewhat skillful. Right? So if you want to air fireball, you gotta do it this way. You can still do it. Alright? I ain't saying you can't do it, but you can't overdo it. Alright. Good luck, have fun. But then the players don't deem it worthy, so they're like, well, I'll just stick to and they don't use the air fireball because it's like, well, why would I use it if I'm just gonna die for using it? So then there's that too. That's the other part of balance where they nerf something to the point to where it's not worth using. So is balance tricky? Absolutely. Sometimes I think they should take a chance. But like as fast as they were to nerf Akuma's ass, that should be how fast it should be to turn the fucking dial to take it away. Right? If it's looking way overtuned off rip, all right, you know what? Turn the dial down. All right. It was loud. Let's say 15 is the loudest. Let's turn it down to 12. You know, turn it down to 11. Let it still be good, just not over the top, right? If 10 is like the bar for like, this is great, and 15 is like overkill, turn it down. Let it be above average, or let it be above great. Don't let it be amazing. Like, if 15 is the amazing dial, let's not put it at amazing. Let's bring it down, you know? And I think that's like enough because a player will feel good knowing that they have an amazing option or a few amazing options that make you feel comfortable in playing your character and not having to feel like, oh man, I can't do this. It's okay for characters to have weaknesses, but then like, if the thing that makes your character shine is doo-doo, why would you want to play the character? You're just going to switch. So again, I feel like this engagement, I feel like it's more of an engagement farming or like playing with your engagements, playing with your emotions based on your engagements with the characters is really awful. That's why they give you skins, right? Like, it's like in other games too, right? When your character's bad, they're like, here's some skins. And you just forget all about it. Because, oh man, this skin for my character's type, but my character still sucks. Man, but that skin is fire though. Or you just play something else with the fire skin. You know, so you just forget all about it. Or they're like, in fighting games, here's this new game mode. Yeah. New DLC for World Tour mode. Yeah. Don't worry about Kimberly. Or you're playing Lily? Don't worry about it. DLC. Be quiet. Shh. Don't worry about it. Shh. DLC. Shh. It's gonna be okay. We'll buff your next patch. You gonna buff your next patch? Yeah, man, I heard from the grapevine that yo, they're gonna buff this, that, and the other. Next patch happens. No buffs. Like, it's a shit feeling. it's a shit feeling knowing you're playing a character that's like weaker or quote unquote weaker or maybe mid tier and they don't get anything in a patch. It's just like after Capcom Cup, in my opinion, there should have been some kind of mid-season patch or pre-season 3 patch that kind of gets you like excited to play season 3. Instead, they're like, nah, we're just gonna let you keep playing season 2. And I think that's bad. I think that's bad. That's what I hope like this game doesn't do. Like if you see some character struggling, like consider like, I think the biggest issue is just they don't consider the player base. They consider the player base in terms of, all right, is this too cheap? Okay, then they just hard nerf things. But like then they just forget that there's characters that are struggling despite you nerfing that. You know? Oh yeah. When like you assume your character's gonna get buffed to the next patch and it's just bug fixes, oh, that's a shit feeling. I think that shit sucks, honestly. But I still love the genre. I think this is a good talking point for devs, honestly. Like, I think most developers just have this like, it's like they want to see players come out on top with certain things, but just don't do enough for the player base. Like, you get nerfs and buffs where it's like, okay, I guess I'll take it. You know what I mean? Like, if your character gets a buff, I mean, I guess I'll take it. I mean, I guess that's cool. But I don't know. Then when a character gets buffed, the buffs are extra combos, doesn't fix the problems. I think by nerfing characters, you can inherently fix their problems, right? Because if a bad matchup, for example, or a few bad matchups, let's say those characters get nerfed, then your problem is fixed indirectly. It's just not a fix. It's not a fix towards your kit. It's a fix towards your matchups. So now, since they got nerfed, now you can check and see whether or not your character really does need those things. That's how That's how Japan balances characters. Oh, that has not changed. They haven't changed that philosophy. That's why like they focus more on like making sure like everything works and all the characters work well in the engine. Things like damage values are great, frame data is great, all this stuff looks great, and it's a by the numbers on paper, this is amazing. All right, cool. So by this logic, based on these numbers, you guys should be able to cook with this. And that's not always the case. So instead of buffing, like say, for example, instead of leaving the top tier and buffing, like, let's say giving your character a new move, that doesn't change the fact that there are other characters that still struggle with the top tier. So it's not just about your character. You have to think about the overall balance of the game. That's why in my time playing now in particular, I've shifted my thing where like, I don't like grapplers at all, period. I fucking despise them. I prefer strikers, to be honest with you. I like the middle ground. But I don't want the people who play grapplers to not want to play them. There should be some kind of incentive for them to play. I get it. That goes against what every streamer, every content creator says when they hate grapplers. Like I said, I don't like them. But I want people who play those characters to continue to play. Because the less people you have playing the game, that the community is going to get smaller. So let's say the sub outlet of grappler players is maybe like, I don't know, we'll just use an arbitrary number of like 10,000, 15,000 grappler players that all play, let's say, again, like Lily, right? I don't want them to quit. I want them to keep playing and keep playing that damn character. Whether she's top tier or not, as long as she has good options and she's kind of retains her strength around like the BB plus area with an amazing player that can be A tier, right? Fine, right? Because she can have really good matchups against certain characters and she can shine that way, as opposed to just being this overarching fucking villainous character that people tend to hate, right? That's kind of why she's the cute grappler girl right now, right? Just using her as an example, right? But if you nerf the top tiers, then her kit can shine against those characters. Now, if you've already nerfed the top tiers and letting people kind of play it out and the kit still doesn't kind of play out the way it should in certain matchups, that means the character has weaknesses. That means like there's something about the character that's weak and they can choose to buff that or not. Then that makes more sense. But you need empirical data. Sometimes the empirical data is the complaining, or you can look at empirical data based on the matchups, right? Which CFN is great for that because you get to see the matchup spreads and see what characters are winning and et cetera, right? So that's kind of good. So that gives the developers more reason to be like, okay, we got data that supports in this matchup, this character struggles. Why do they struggle? Or they look at the most played character, right? Maybe not the most played, but the character that has probably like the highest win rate, and be like, okay, this is the character with the highest win rate. Look at the matchup spread. This win percentage kind of dictates what this is in its current time frame. If you were to leave it, it could get worse. So that's where they have to adjust. And I think that's the hard part. Like, what do you adjust based on this win rate, right? This character can't beat this. This character can't beat that. This character. So, it's a lot of testing. And I know that that's difficult to do. That's why I don't really always like fault them on that. But I do feel like it's very clear that if a large player base that plays a character has a lot of issues and they've expressed those issues, and your only answer is to do these moderate changes, it begets the question, why do I play your fucking game if you have no intention of making my character worth playing, right? Especially from a competitive standpoint. Like, if my character isn't worth playing from a competitive standpoint, you're telling me I need to pick one of the characters that's already beating my current character and I gotta play with everyone else. When you want more variety. Not every character is going to be good, but if a character has good outplay potential based on the kit, that's fine. I think that's one of the few things that has kind of gotten lost in fighting games is outplay potential. Most people just look at, okay, this matchup's too broken, I can't play it. Outplay potential is very important to me in particular in fighting games, because if my character can outplay you with, system mechanics, certain tricks here and there, decent footsies, that's all you need, right? The character doesn't need to have like this overbearing piece of shit gameplay. It's just, can I beat you with this kit? Yes or no? Yes? Okay, cool. Based on what options? Based on these factors. That's good. Because outplay potential is important. Because if it's hard determined, if it's hard predetermined, this is 6-4, this is 7-3, then 6-4 isn't unwinnable. It just means it's hard. right? Obviously 5-5 meaning even, 7-3 meaning okay, this is a little rough. 8-2, okay, fuck my life. 9-1, why am I playing this? 10-0, okay, this is absolute dog shit. You should never play this matchup. Most fighting games hardly have anything above a 7-3 matchup in the current fighting game era. Before, hold on, there's definitely some 7-3s, 8-2s, and 9-1s. Them shits are fucking awful. But based on system mechanics and how they change things, that's not that bad now. But again, I don't think a player base, I don't think the player should have to wait till XYZ season to finally feel good about playing their character. Because it's a confidence thing. People, again, I just feel like developers don't understand that we have, like, we're humans and we're playing the games. And like, it always does not, it feels bad when like your peers are playing good ass characters and you're playing a bad one. Or your character has the genetic makeup of what could be a great character, but they just refuse to turn the knobs. That's a bad feeling. Yo, what's up, Savior? How you been? Hold on. That also matters at what the devs are watching too. Like high level gameplay, no doubt, but what streamers and player matches are they paying attention to? True. Win rates can also be attributed to pick rates as well, since you have a large sample size. True. I'll say this. I think you don't have to. The thing is, competitive play, like, you have to remember, one of the parts that's really difficult about fighting game balance is, despite what people may think, it's really top down. The top players find cheese strats, and cheese strats being whatever's good, right? I'm saying cheese strats just to say cheese strats, right? Whatever the great strats are, it trickles down to everyone else, right? That determines their suffering. You know, if you're the top level play, these are the people creating the strats, and then it trickles on down, and it determines how people suffer at the bottom, right, or at the mid level, right? Because then part of the issue is people at the mid level attribute their suffering to the top players because everyone's doing what they're doing. It's like, man, it's too hard, man. Stupid freaking. Everyone's just trying to copy insert said player here, which happens in other games too. So let's not look at, you know, just fighting games alone in this regard. When you have it top down, then it's like, okay, then you got to look at pro play, you know, pro play being the pro tours, the tournaments, et cetera, et cetera. At the tournament level, what are they doing? This, and this. What do I see? What do we take away? At the online level, they're still most likely using those strats because people always emulate what they see. It doesn't matter the game, Marvel Rivals, whatever game, right? They're going to copy what they see, and they're going to be, okay, that shit's broken. I'm going to use that too. So then at that point, the sample size becomes easier to understand. Right? Like, I'm sure, like I told you guys earlier with me and Fenrich, like, I want to play Kane now because after watching Fenrich do things, I'm like, oh snap, that's kind of sick. I kind of am interested in Kane now, right? So it got me interested. So it's always going to be there's always a catalyst to make someone interested in trying to do something, right? So when you put that in perspective and you start actually thinking about like what characters need, et cetera, it just turns into a whole nother ball game. Like, truth be told. But again, as I said, it just begets the question, why are you waiting so long to make a character worth picking? Like, there are people who want to play these characters. And sure, you'll play them out of the love for them, right? Because not everyone's trying to go win the millie, right? But let's say you are and you really like this character. There's always going to be good and bad characters, once again. But like, I feel like what's interesting is like, and I'm just use Kimberly because that's who I play a lot, right? She's a ninja character. She has the genetic makeup of a strong mix-up character. Should she be a character that be able to win the $1 million? She should be, based on the type of trickery she can do. But you're canning it. You're making it take longer. Like, does that make sense? Like, you're making it take longer for the character to kill. And what you're focused on is like the things that make her good. So like the set play and the mix-ups and stuff like that. What you're telling me is I have to do the fundamental things to kill my opponent, while they're using whatever they're using, and it's maybe stronger. It's not just the fundamental things. So like, look at JP. He has a kit that is just monstrous. And you're telling me, he even has a better teleport in some cases, right? You're telling me that I get to watch this guy delete me while I'm trying to utilize my just spray cans that are bombs to mix up. It doesn't compute. Like, the math ain't math, and it doesn't make sense. It doesn't, and I'm not trying to compare the two too heavily, but it's the fact that they both kind of have somewhat of a similar function just in regards to set play. So if you're telling me that my set play is weaker, I might as well just play this character because he also has a teleport. He has a fireball of sorts. He has a way to control space. He has a set play. He has all the other set play style options that you would want that Kimberly doesn't. So it makes me wonder, why bother? Just pick this. So they do have to come out with a different way of like really pushing characters' expressions, and it's what makes people feel like it's all homogenized. Like, oh well, when you go from varying degrees of set play, it makes you wonder why, if you're a player that enjoys set play, why would I play the ninja character? Oh well, she's faster, but why should you care when all of this can like offset this? Well, this character facilitates these things, so that might be what you may want. So if that's the thing that you may want, and you want to keep that style of play, that's there too. But they have to make it better. That goes with any character on the weaker side of the game. They have to, whatever their strength is, whatever they excel at the absolute hardest, right? Like, because every character has maybe like 3 things they're really good at, and then the rest is just, I'm exceptional or just decent at it. That's okay. Like, it's kind of like, you know, when you see a character in their stats, it's like these things and stars and this and this and this. It's like, excel those stars, right? Excel those stars and maybe add one, like if it's a stat tree, add some stars to the things that make them good, and then maybe one extra star towards the one thing that they have a weakness to, and then you can have a bit of a better semblance of a character. Does that make sense? And then if it's too good, then you take away from the thing that makes them too good, just 1 star, right? Instead of it being like, okay, let's take 5 stars away from their 8, and then they're just a 3 star for this, and it's like it doesn't make sense. See what I'm saying? It just doesn't make sense. So at one tournament season, everyone was using Blanc after seeing Menard. Of course. When season 3 releasing? Good question. When the Switch 2 comes out? June 6th. When Elena drops. But like, yeah, this was a very, very loaded conversation. And it's very, very nuanced to the point to where like, not everyone's a game developer and not everyone has a lot of experience with like balancing and stuff like that. But the one thing I'll never take away from the people in this regard is like, people feel, right? People feel things. And the developers should take note that these are people playing the game, and people feel bad sometimes. Sometimes it's salt. But I think with empirical data and with enough complaining, whether it's at the top level, at the low level, or any level of play, to be honest with you, there's validity in a lot of what people say. So it does beget the question, who do you listen to, right? But I think with enough supporting evidence, and the people spent more time actually showcasing what makes the character weaker instead of just complaining, that would help them get a better idea. And I think that's what's helped other games before. Like, people, I remember there was a guy that was on something Z, was Zombie something Z, I forget what it's called. But I remember hearing how he went from content creator to dev team when he was showing the dev team what was wrong with the game. He was like, yo, he made videos and explained like, this is the problem, these are issues. I know people are doing that right now, obviously, right? But we need more of it, right? But it needs to be less, I guess the best way to put it, it needs to be less bitchy, if that makes sense. It's okay to go on social media and complain that you're upset, right? But if you make like an outright, just put a compilation of things that are problematic and you present that, that's better than just complaining alone without any actual evidence. It's like, just fix my character. What do you want me to do? Just, bruh, she sucks at this. Be constructive. If you have a full set video that shows what's wrong with things, like, they're more prone to reacting to players when they can show them what's wrong actively than verbally bitching. If you can show something happen consistently, then they have no choice but to address it. You see what I'm saying? Like, otherwise people can just outright just quit and, as they say, boycott something. You know? Because sometimes what they believe, like, oh, it was a Street Fighter 5. The devs thought that they thought Alex was the best character in the game, despite Luke sitting right there. And they were like, yeah, we thought in the development house, we thought it was Alex. Alex? What? The grappler? Alex was the best in the end of Street Fighter 5. what game are you guys playing? But I get it. Those two were on the game late, right? They were on the game, but they weren't like that, like Street Fighter 6. Like how they're in it from the start to end, right? So what they thought was good in-house wasn't good at the end of the day, right? Because it's the players playing the game. So if the players are playing the game, there's some validity to what they're saying. But I do feel the way that they're doing 6, just in particular, they're trying to do it to the point to where like they have their design philosophy, what they want to do with the characters, how they see the game going. And the players also have that too. But like, there has to be a balance. There has to be a balance. Yeah, you do have to be objective. Like, that's why I talk the way I talk now about the games. I would definitely just be like a complete hater of certain characters and say, fuck all that. But these days, I'm just like, I would just, again, I like more people playing the games. I don't want less people playing the games. Even if it means the grapplers being good. It's like, I just gotta hold that. But as long as my character can box them, it's fine. I'm good with it. Yeah, Kim has been getting buffed. But I think like okay, so here's the part where I talk about that. I'm glad you said that. So the part where I say what it like begets the question, why wait so long? Like, it's frustrating when you have a character where they're like, incremental. We drip feed you these. No, just, she should have had these things from the start. You see what I'm saying? Like, Kim is in a position where everything she has now should have been there. Why there was damage scaling on bomb? Make it make sense. Why did you make her combo scale to dog shit off of her can? But JP can hit me with the fucking crystal landmine of a fucking spike and delete me. It doesn't make sense. Like, you can't have... I understand experimenting, but you can't look at that on full launch and then be okay. Because that doesn't make sense. I understand the notion of like, okay, we won't give her a DP because she doesn't need a DP. Okay, fine, sure. But let my firepower and everywhere else shine. If you want to take away me having a reversal option, then my set play options need to fucking destroy people. Because you're telling me I don't have a DP. It's like Hokutomaru. Hokutomaru blows you the fuck up. You make a big mistake, Hokutomaru, even a small mistake, he can fuck you up. She doesn't do that to that capacity when she first came out. Right? They saw her in beta and was like, yeah, we're just not going to do that. Which was mostly like run stop things and reversal DP. But and I'm not trying to make this a bitching session about Kimberly at all. It's just the notion of like there are characters in fighting games where like when they buff them, they should have been this way from the start, or at least half of this. This way you don't have to like do this incremental, maybe we'll buff this, maybe we'll buff that, and then we'll buff this, and then turn this back a little bit. And we're gonna give you your +1 instead of +2. Like, bruh, fuck the +1 to +2. All right, it's great, I appreciate it, but like, give me what's necessary. You know what's necessary, you just refuse to acknowledge it. And that's the problem. You know? Just like the asking, are they actually seeing what's going on with the game? So, empirical data. That's all they got. I think it's pretty obvious when they saw Capcom Cup and they saw 3 Kimberlys in SFL finals. They're like, okay, hold on. There's something here. And I think Kim's in a good place now where she's like annoying enough to be played at a high level. But she still should have the firepower of a good set play character. And right now, she kind of doesn't. She's this weird middle ground of like a Bushinryu character, but also like, not good enough set play character. Because it's interesting to me that there's a lot of characters who have better set play than she does. Blanca has better set play. You know what I mean? JP clearly has better set play. Ed has better set play. Like, there's mad characters with better set play than she has. Mai just set plays you while you standing. You know what I mean? She doesn't have to wait for a knockdown. Kachosin. Well, I guess you gotta guess, asshole. You threw a fireball. Then that's crazy. I'll drive rush and get a combo. It sucks for you. You know, or just dash up and get a combo. You know? So like, it always begets the question, what do you do? And do you really want to facilitate those players that play this? Are you that afraid of this being strong? Is this, it's like, what do you want your game to be known for, in my opinion? Do you want your game to be known for having a variety of characters that can go win $1 million? Or do you want the game to be known for only having so many characters that can win $1 million? Because you're telling set players that play like, you know, the message you're sending is important. Does that make sense? Like the message you're sending to your audience and your player base is that like, if you want to win, you need to play this. Even if you're not playing competitively, it still sends that message. Look at people who casually play, League of Legends. They'll all pick up a top tier freaking laner and be like, "Oh, what's top tier? Yasuo? Lock that shit in, bro." They suck ass with the character, but they saw it win and they're like, "Yeah, I gotta pick that." Only certain characters that have skill barriers they kind of stay away from, like say JP. But there was a lot of scrubby JPs in season 1, to be honest with you. I fought a lot of them in tournament. I'm not gonna lie to you, Chief. I could tell who's going through the motions and who actually plays that fucking character. You know? But like, hopefully you understand where I'm coming from here. It's as I say, it's a very loaded conversation. It's a very, very, very loaded conversation. And I think it's one that I think it's about time it kind of gets brought up and brought to light and it actually gets discussed, because I think we do need to keep having this discussion. And I don't mind making multiple videos on character balance at all. Talks like these I think are important, because you're going to get to a point where it's like, I do feel like players will eventually drop off when they start thinking about this, like way more. And it's not that people don't think about it. It's just as more people bring it to light, it's going to make people think twice about like playing either A, said character, or B, said game. That's why a game like Fatal Fury is good, because like even if your character may be quote unquote on the bad side of the tier list, or like maybe not as strong, the system mechanics also help you kind of play around what makes them rough. You know? Because the argument was the same thing they had for Manat. That's true. Manat got nerfed, but then got weird buffs, I think, if I recall right. But I vaguely remember 5 like that, so I'm not going to say too much there. I just feel like, again, it's a very nuanced conversation, and I think it's one that needs to be had a lot more often. I won't make it a constant point to bring it up here on stream, but I do think it does make for a good talking point in general. Because it's a very loaded ass conversation, trust. So, that's all I got to say for that. That's all I got to say for that.